Welcome back to the channel, boys. Fablinski's coming at your neck with this Well of Life Titan build. Now with this build, we're going to utilize Well of Life, which is a new mod that came to us in Season of the Splicer. What this mod allows you to do is constantly regenerate your health as long as you pick up a solar elemental well. I think it lasts for like about 10 seconds. We're also using Explosive Wellmaker, which is another mod that came to us in Season of the Splicer. What this mod allows you to do is create another solar elemental well from explosive damage. It doesn't have to be any elemental type as long as it's just explosive. So because of that, we're going to use passive burning steps. We also got some very explosive weapons: Firefly, Dragonfly, Crown Splitter. We're also using energy accelerant. So let me go ahead and break down this build. So for this build, we're going to utilize Bottom Tree Sunbreaker because you can generate sunspots pretty often with this build, and sunspots are just crazy. They give you a weapon damage buff, plus getting any ability kills give you a nice little bit of health in return. Plus it's all explosive damage to melee. The grenades are all considered explosive damage, so I can just generate elemental wells just from getting ability kills. It's fantastic for this build, and the damage buff you get from the sunspots I believe is like 20%, 25%. I'm not sure exactly, since all my weapons have like Dragonfly or Firefly. I don't have any like Rampage or Kill Clip damage buffs on, like damage perks I should say, on my weapons. So the Sun Warrior damage buff is my way I'm going to buff my weapons. Now as for your loadout, you're going to want the most explosive weapons possible. I'm using my Fatebringer. I got Rewind rounds. Firefly, it's a very good roll. We're also using the Sojourn's Tail. I don't know how to say that. We got auto-loading Dragonfly. I absolutely love this gun. It's so much fun. It's not really meant for boss killing, but it can clear some ads like crazy. Same thing with this Fatebringer. As you notice, this has Firefly and this also has Dragonfly. Now, if you don't want to use Fatebringer, or you don't like it, or you don't have one, let's say you have a Hung Jury, you can use Firefly as well. As long as your weapons just have explosive damage perks, that's all that matters. And the main reason you're using Crown Splitter is because it works with energy accelerant. For some reason, this is buffing the damage of Crown Splitter as well as a couple of other weapons that it's not technically supposed to buff their damage. But since it's bugged or whatever is going on with it right now, we're going to utilize that, and Crown Splitter just does crazy damage. So this is my boss killer. These are my ad clears, although this is like my main source of ad clear. If I don't have any ammo, or if the enemies are just a little too far away, we're going to use Fatebringer. And allow me just to correct myself really quick. When I was talking about the subclass, I said I don't have any damage perks on my weapons, which is true, but I do have Path of the Burning Steps on, and as long as you're getting solar final blows, it grants you weapon damage buffs. So as long as I'm getting kills with like my shoddy or my ability kills, it's going to buff the weapon damage for all my weapons. So I get a couple kills, I stack it up to like ×4, I get a nice weapon damage buff to Fatebringer, the shotgun, and the sword. So just wanted to correct myself right there. Now moving on to my stats, we're using a 33 mobility. We got 60 resilience, not too worried about this. I mean, probably in harder content I'll be using more barricades, but just for running around having fun, I really never pop my barricade. We got 59 recovery. This you can completely neglect because I'm using Sunbreaker, and we got Well of Life on. Now we have 100 discipline. I really like having 100 discipline for this build because it allows me to spam my grenade. I have the sunspots, 32-second base cooldown. It's just phenomenal to have 100 discipline with this build. We're also using double impulse recycler, so I'm going to have my grenades a lot. We got 32 intellect, and then we got 40 strength. So let's go ahead and start with our mods. I'm only going to touch on the important mods here. Starting with the helmet, we're using Ashes to Assets. This is on the seasonal artifact, gain bonus super energy on grenade kills. If I wanted to, I can pretty much spam my grenades as much as possible, getting a lot of kills with them, so I just get bonus super energy for getting kills with my grenades. We got shotgun ammo finder, so I can use my shotgun as much as possible, proc Dragonfly, and proc some elemental wells to spawn. And then we also got Font of Wisdom. Picking up an elemental well that matches your subclass energy type grants you a temporary significant increase in your intellect, improving the recharge rate of your super. Now in the bottom right, I can click this button right here, and it's going to say that my intellect is at 32 stat. So picking up an elemental well, I believe that this gives you plus 50 to your intellect. So realistically, I have about 82 once I pick up an elemental well. Now moving on to my gauntlets, we're using double impulse recyclers. Grenade final blows grant grenade energy. Multiple copies of this mod do stack to get increased grenade energy. So having 2 of these, I can get a couple kills, get like half or 3/4 of my grenade energy. Plus, let's say I'm standing in a sunspot, I have Sun Warrior. I'm gonna get my grenades a lot with this build. Plus, just picking up the elemental wells does give you ability energy in return. And for the main mod of this build, we're using Well of Life. Picking up a solar elemental well grants you increased regeneration for a short period of time. What it's like, it's almost like you're standing in a healing rift or something that's going to give you life. It's just like it slowly ticks up your health bar. It's very nice. Now it does seem kind of redundant to use Bottom Tree Sunbreaker and Well of Life because getting solar ability kills does give you some nice health, but like this is like constantly refilling your health. So if I'm not able to get any ability kills, or if there's just no enemies, and I don't know if I'm in the storm vet, I don't have my grenade, whatever the case may be, as long as I have this proc, I'm gonna keep getting my health back. So it kind of allows for like this safety net, which is gonna allow you to stay in the fight longer, keep regenerating your health. It's very nice. I really like it. Now honestly, the only important mod on my chest piece is heavy-handed. You can use whatever kind of damage resist mods you want to, but I feel like heavy-handed is very important because although you get half your melee back when you charge your light and you use your melee, I'm mainly using it for that secondary perk. While surrounded by multiple combatants, defeating a combatant with a fusion rifle, shotgun, sidearm, or submachine gun adds ammo for that weapon to your reserves. Since I'm going to be using my shotgun a lot for this build, trying to proc Dragonfly, get those elemental wells to spawn, if I'm surrounded and get just like a land of precision kill and get a couple kills with Dragonfly, it's going to count for the heavy-handed mod to proc, get a couple bullets in the reserves, pretty much have a constant chain of shotgun ammo, which is going to allow this build to generate the elemental wells and proc everything I have going on with this build. So heavy-handed, it's important, but for the secondary perk. Although having your melee come back or get half your melee back is very nice with this build anyway. Now onto my leg piece, which is also my exotic piece of choice. We're using the Path of Burning Steps. Now I'll go over it again, even though I did go over it in the beginning of the video. The armor perk that comes on it is Solar Final Blows periodically grant you an escalating bonus to weapon damage. Now the second part of this exotic is mainly for PvP. You're harder to slow or freeze with stasis, and when you break out you take no damage from doing so, creating a burst of solar energy around you. That's definitely for PvP only, unless they do add stasis enemies in the future, but for right now, Solar Final Blows periodically grant you an escalating bonus to weapon damage. Now I'm not too sure what the exact bonus is, I don't really do the math here, you can probably find that somewhere else, but it's a pretty nice buff and you can just keep stacking it as long as you're getting solar kills. Any solar kills can be grenade, melee, weapon kills. It's going to give you just a weapon damage buff, not just a solar weapons or whatever it is, just weapon damage. So I get a couple kills with my grenade or my shotty that's solar, I can pull out my Fatebringer and I have a damage buff with that. It's very nice exotic, honestly, just for anything, honestly. It's really good, it's just a really good exotic. Now onto the mods I have on it. We're using Absolution, reduce all ability cooldown each time you pick up an orb of power. All my weapons are masterwork, plus any orbs that generate from my teammates. I pick those up, I get some nice ability cooldown. And then we're also using Explosive Wellmaker. Rapidly defeating combatants with explosive damage spawns a solar elemental well. Now if you notice, it just says explosive damage, it doesn't say solar, it doesn't say arc, void, whatever it is, just explosive damage. And honestly, there's a lot of things in the game that count as explosive damage. Right now we're taking advantage that my solar grenades, I think the melee counts as solar damage, although I'm not sure. The Dragonfly, Firefly, all these things count as explosive damage. So getting some ability kills, getting kills with Firefly, Dragonfly, all counts, generate solar elemental wells, and get my build going. It's a very nice mod for any type of explosive builds with a lot of grenades or a lot of Firefly, Dragonfly, and all that. And moving on to my tire mark, the two main important mods on this piece are Energy Accelerant. Your Dragonfly, Chain Reaction, and Firefly explosions deal more damage. So this is one way I'm going to be doing even more ad clear. I already have Dragonfly spec on my shotty, plus this is going to allow me to do crazy damage with Dragonfly. I've taken out some mages with it with one like Dragonfly proc. It also increases the damage of Crown Splitter for some reason, I don't know why. So Crown Splitter does crazy damage when you have Energy Accelerant on, and Firefly does more damage as well. Now the other important mod I have on is Quick Charge. Become Charger Light by rapidly defeating multiple combatants with a fusion rifle or a shotty. And since we're using another arc mod, greatly increase the ready speed of fusion rifles, shotguns, submachine guns, and swords. So I have like this whole shotgun build going, getting multiple kills with it. It's going to proc my Charger Light, which is going to proc heavy-handed, get these explosive kills, is going to spawn elemental wells, pick those up, I get health regen, I get ability cooldown, and I get Fonts of Wisdom. It's a very nice build altogether. And for my Titan fashion, we're using an all red look. I feel like it looks really nice here with this, honestly we're using fire and stuff like that, so I figured red would look good. And I believe this is the new shader that came this season for the Crucible, or within like Shax's little rework thing, whatever. Conflagrate. I'm saying that completely wrong. Conflagrate. I like this shader a lot. It looks really good, especially with this armor set. I got the nice glow from the Solstice gear here, and I love this helmet. I've already used it before, but honestly, I use it all the time, so I think it's a very nice helmet. So if you guys want to recreate this fashion, here are all my armor pieces, and here are all my shaders. So you can pause the screen, take a screenshot, whatever you want to do, but here are all my armor pieces. So I gotta say, the more I use the Path of Burning Steps, the more it's starting to grow on me. I absolutely love the fact of how simple it is. Just simply getting solar kills gives you a weapon damage buff. Like, it's so simple but so effective. So the fact that it's just any solar kills, it can be grenades, melees. It can even be Dragonfly, obviously, and it can be Firefly. If you keep chaining together those Firefly kills, it's going to count towards the Firewalker buff. I believe it's called Firewalker. You get damage buffs, weapon damage buffs, so your Fatebringer can do more damage, your Hung Jury, anything with Firefly, or your weapon with Dragonfly, and it's just awesome. Your Crown Splitter with Energy Accelerant can do even more damage if you have Sun Warrior and you have Firewalker active. You can just do insane amounts of damage with this build because of how well everything synergizes with it. And not to mention the fact that you have Ashes to Assets and Fonts of Wisdom, so there's a little bit of super spam there. Double Impulse Recycler allows you to get your grenade back very often, and just picking up those elemental wells will give you ability energy back. You have Well of Life, so you keep getting the life regen. Although Bottom Tree Sunbreaker does have a lot of survivability from getting ability kills, but it's always nice just to constantly be regenerating life, just in case you don't have your abilities back or you're in a tight situation and you're not able to get an ability kill. You have Well of Life going, so that way you constantly are getting health back. Explosive Wellmaker allows you to generate wells, elemental wells at ease, because literally everything in this build is explosive damage, so generating those solar elemental wells is not an issue. Energy Accelerant just simply buffs the damage of all the explosive damage, so there's just so much explosive damage, and that's why I'm starting to love this build a lot. Now, the obvious question is, why aren't you going to use Warmind cells? Now, I've said it before, I absolutely hate Warmind cells, not because they're bad, but because they're just literally too good. I don't find the fun in just shooting a ball that's on the ground and killing everything. I just genuinely don't find that fun. Now, I do see its potential though, and I do see the value there. So if you wanted to use Warmind cells, I'd recommend swapping out maybe Fonts of Wisdom. Now, that would be a bad idea. Maybe like Heavy Handed. Maybe I'd go with Heavy Handed, get rid of that. Or maybe Quick Charge. I don't know. I'd probably get rid of those two mods and just focus heavily on Wrath of Rasputin and Rage of the Warmind. I think it's called Rage of the Warmind, I'm not too sure. But get the elemental wells from getting solar explosive damage, or sorry, the elemental wells, get the Warmind cells from getting solar explosive damage, and then Rage of the Warmind adds solar damage to the Warmind cells. So you could do that, but like I said, I just don't like using Warmind cells if I don't have to use them. I know how good they are, and I use them during day one raids, and probably going to use them in a bunch of other hard activities in the future, but if I don't have to use them, I won't, just because they're just too good and they just ruin the fun in my opinion. But if you're a Warmind cell user, I would recommend doing that. It's very potent. I did try it and it's very good. I like being the one to do the damage. I like being the one to kill the enemies, not just some ball on the ground that's just gonna wipe out the entire room for me. It's just not what I want to do. So there you boys have it, a Well of Life Titan build. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I'm really enjoying this build and I keep finding myself going back to it just because it's literally so fun. I love Dragonfly, I love Firefly, I love Path of the Burning Steps, and just using all those, creating elemental wells. Energy Accelerant is crazy, especially with Crown Splitter. I'm starting to fall in love with this build, but let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and I hope you guys enjoyed. But if you guys like this content, please like, subscribe, and share. It really helps me out a lot. You can also check out my other videos. Links are in the description below. I have a lot of crazy builds, so go ahead and check that out. And you might as well follow my social media. I have a Twitter and an Instagram, both at @fat_balloonskis. But with all that being said, deuces.